Okay. How's everybody doing?
Yes, good.
Good. So today we're going to do what we say in America is roll our sleeves up. Meaning we're going to work today. Right? So during the first day, we went over the power moves. And we talked about the power moves. And then today, we're going to go through the worksheet of some of the power moves. Then we're also going to go through what you have in front of you, or what's on the screen, which is 10 tips to climbing the professional ladder. How many people want to get a promotion, get a raise, or advance, get a better job, or move on to another, advancement within their career? A lot of people have that vision, but a lot of people don't know how. So today I'm going to share with you some tips on how you can incorporate that into your current job now and get visibility, get recognition for your job, so people see and understand what you're doing. Okay? All right. So to go as a recap for the 10 power moves that we went over. Number 1 was be real with yourself. Right? Number 2, accept the challenge to achieve your goals. Number 3, break down old habits, write down what you want to change. Number 4, which is one of the worksheets we're going to go through today, goals versus systems. So we're going to identify some of your goals, and then we're going to work on the systems to help you get to that goal. But the first step is writing it down. Number 5, surround yourself with the right people. Number 6, time management. We're going to go through time management today. We're going to take a look at your day yesterday, and we're going to write down what you did yesterday, all of the hours. We're going to figure out what we could have done better to help or assist towards your goal. Number 7, visualize. Number 8, effective communication. Number 9, what I call the 3 Ps, pure faith, patience, and passion. And number 10, nothing will work unless you do. So we're going to go through these sheets, but it means nothing if you don't incorporate it into your life and start working towards it, right? So if everybody can, you can take a look at the screen or you can look at the sheet in front of you. We're going to go through the 10 tips of climbing the professional ladder. Number 1, make sure people know who you are. It's very important. Sometimes we get into a job, we get into a role, and then we get into our own island. We just work. We work very hard, but nobody knows what we're doing. How can you get the proper acknowledgement if nobody understands and knows what you're doing? So some tips for that. Get feedback from your manager and peers. So make sure you're spending time. What I usually do once a month, I like to do what I call our one-on-one meetings. During that one-on-one meeting, I get to ask my boss, my direct report, am I aligned to my goals? Am I doing what you expect of me? Is there anything I can do better or work on to become a more, a stronger professional? Or you can ask your peers, the people that work with you. Ask them, what do you see? Is there anything that you could recommend that I can do a little bit better? Because that's the best feedback you can get. Because we all feel like we have the answers. We all feel like we know how we're performing until we ask somebody else. Volunteer for extra work. I know we all work hard. And suggesting that you ask for extra work is probably not something you want to do. But if you want to properly develop as a professional, if you have aspirations of growing within your job, sometimes you need to do a side project to understand how things function. As an example, this conference. If you were a host and from the city, it would have been nice to volunteer your time to understand how the conference is put together. What is the background? Dealing with the hotels, making sure everybody's eating, booking guest speakers. All that takes work. It just doesn't happen. It's not just magic. There's a lot of work that goes into it. Participate in company activities. This is a tough one because a lot of people might have families. So after work, you just want to get home and get to your family. But sometimes when the organization is providing a function, whether it's going out to eat or having a function after, don't always be the one that goes home. Be known as a team player. Participate. Be a part of what's going on with the organization. Number 2. You can scroll down a little bit. Number 2, be innovative. Solve a company-wide problem. A lot of times, we see something going on with the company, and we just complain. We complain to ourselves, and we complain to some of our peers within the organization as well. How about coming up with a solution? If you feel the company can do better with, as an example, reaching more students, what is that? Is it doing more posts and being more effective on Facebook, on social media, on Instagram? Is it creating flyers and going to a local park that a lot of families and kids spend time? Be innovative. Come up with a solution that can help the organization, because at the end of the day, it's only going to help you and make your job a lot easier and better. So don't be afraid to be the one that comes up with an idea or suggests an idea. Think about how you can make the system and the organization a little bit better. Number 3, find a mentor. Mentorship can be a very powerful tool for career advancement. People within an organization that understand the ins and outs, that might have been in the organization for 15, 20 years, don't just look at that person as the old person in the company. That is wisdom. That person knows the ins and outs of the organization, how things work, how you can potentially get promoted, how you can efficiently work and do your job better. Family life balance, work-life balance. That person has been through it. So look for a mentor. Look for somebody within your organization who's been doing it, who can assist you with your job and hopefully help make your job a little bit easier and better. Number 4, a champion. And I'll tell you the difference between a mentor and a champion. But champions, find somebody internally, a client, a customer, that will talk about your accomplishments when you're not in a room to manage or your leadership. A champion can be a customer. It can be a parent. It can be somebody within an organization that supports your job, supports the work that you do, because everybody doesn't see what you do every day. But that one parent, your customer, might be the person that sees you doing the hard work that could potentially give you a promotion or put you on a space of elevation that could be a best practice that the rest of the company can share. But you won't know until you have those conversations and those dialogues. The difference between a mentor and a champion. A mentor is somebody who is invested in your career, but they're a professional. A champion is somebody who wants to see you succeed. And they're going to give you that feedback. But they don't necessarily need to be within the organization. But they want, when you're not in the room, that parent, and I'll use a parent as, I'm just using that as an example, that parent, when they're meeting the director or somebody within your company, they're going to be the ones to say, hey, do you know such and such person does an amazing job? Every time I come, they spend extra time with my child because they needed a little extra help on ABCs or numbers. But the director might not know that because you're in your own bubble, and nobody understands or knows the extra work. I'm not saying it's a bad thing because you're working hard, but you need to let people know what you're doing. So you need to have champions. You need to have people who are going to support your career and your path when you're not in the room. That's fine. Number 5. I'll pull it up here. It's fine. Be open to relocation. Restrictions may limit your potential growth within an organization. What does that mean? If you're working in Casablanca and you're working very hard and you're doing an amazing job, and then a promotion or a new job is open here in Tangier. If you're not open to relocation and potentially moving, that will restrict and limit your potential to grow within the organization or the company. So if you have aspirations to grow within a company, you need to think about that. And that goes back to understanding and knowing what you want, because that makes a difference. If you have aspirations to grow within an organization, it is your job to make sure your boss, your manager knows that as well. Because nobody can help you unless they know what you want. So you need to communicate that and have the conversations with your manager and the people around you. But you also need to know if you do have aspirations to growing within the company, that you need to be open to potential relocation. And if that's not something that you want or can't do during that time, you need to communicate that as well. So when a relocation opportunity comes, they know, like, this is where they want to be. This is where their family is, this is where their children are going to school, and your boss can effectively assess their team. Number 6, help others. Don't get the reputation of being a loner or cutthroat. What does that mean? Don't be the person that only worries about you. Everybody in here has something that they're offering the organization. That's why you're here today. Respect your talent. Respect what you offer to the company. But at the same time, offer that greatness and that light to others as well. If you see somebody that could potentially use some assistance from something that you're really good at, it's okay to share that. Don't feel as if I give or if I share, that's less for me. You need to think bigger picture. Because when people know that you're a part of the team and you see the bigger picture, they want to help you. Number 7, share the spotlight. And I specifically want to share this with this room as well, and directors. It's important to acknowledge the people who you work with in front of others. It's one thing to do it in the office when it's just one-on-one, but when people know that you will share the spotlight and acknowledgement to say, hey, such and such person did an amazing job. During the conference, they did amazing. They were here working 12-hour days. They were giving their all. They didn't spend time with their family at all. They wanted to make sure everybody here was good. It's okay to share the spotlight. But the most important piece is do it in front of others. Let people know that this is a positive environment. And when they see something positive, they want to share that with everybody. That makes everybody feel better. That makes the morale of the company better. Whenever I'm in a situation with my team, I always like to, in front of everybody, talk about the positive works that people were doing within the organization. That, for one, as a leader, it's important. Because you're showing others that you're humble and that you're acknowledging, you're paying attention to what's going on within your team. And you want everybody else to share that light as well. Number 8, set up one-on-one meetings with your manager. And I started off with this, and I talked about this during the open plenary session. One-on-one sessions are very important. That's where you know and you get to find out about your performance before it's too late. You know, you might be working on a project and think you're amazing, but other people might not see it that way. But when you speak to your manager, talk to them and ask them, you know, am I on track on what you expected? Am I doing what you expected me to do? And that takes you to be a humble individual as well, to hear that feedback. But don't take it in a negative light. See it as an opportunity to grow. It is an opportunity for you to advance and grow as an individual. So have the one-on-one meetings. Ask those questions, but come in with questions. Because that goes back to what I say with time. Don't let people waste your time, and don't waste people's time. So if you ever have a meeting with your manager or your boss, or somebody that reports to you. Make sure you have an agenda, make sure you have questions, so it is an effective meeting. You're getting something out of it, and the other individual is getting something out of it as well. So have your questions. Think about it before you get to the meeting. Don't get to the meeting and then start looking at each other like, what do I say? Or what do you want to talk about? That's wasted time. So think about it before you get to the meeting. Number 9, understand the value and impact of your role. Understand the value and impact of your role to the overall organization. Understand how important you are as an individual. Your job, everybody's job in here, is not easy. You are in this role for a reason. Think about it. There are billions of people on this planet. There are millions of people just in this area. Think about how hard it is just to get a job. But you broke through it to get to where you are today. Respect that. Respect your role. Respect what you offer to the organization. How big or small, because it allows the machine to work. If I was to take out half the room, that would be a major impact to the organization. How would business function tomorrow? That's how important your role is. Do you understand how important your role is? Yeah. Right? So put the value behind it, but put the respect behind it to make sure you're putting the effort behind it to make sure that people, 1, know who you are as an individual and the awareness. 2, you make sure you respect it yourself. And number 10, do your homework. The best investment that you can make is in yourself. Put in the effort needed to become an expert in your chosen field. Do your homework. The best investment that you can make is in yourself. You being here today is an investment in yourself. But take it past this. Take it past the organization putting a conference together for you to learn. With the internet, you have access to the world. You have access to the world through the internet. And if you find that the internet, navigating the internet is a weakness of yours, then see what you can do, whether it's some of the students, because they're on social media all day. Spend an extra 10, 15 minutes a day understanding, hey, teach me about Facebook. Teach me about Instagram. Teach me about YouTube. That is a resource for you that surrounds you every day. If that is a weakness of yours that you can leverage. But you need to make sure you're investing in yourself to properly take advantage of the potential of your career. And that only comes through you putting in the effort and the work and the research. Because there's endless amounts of books, there are endless amounts of access through the internet. You have people within your organization that might be knowledgeable within a certain industry. That takes you getting to know people, getting out of your comfort zone, being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Getting out of your shell of who you are and what your day-to-day is, to understand my job is very important. I'm very valuable. I have aspirations to grow within this organization, so I'm going to do my research to understand what these roles are. I'm going to do my homework. I'm going to invest in me. So that is 10 tips that I wanted to share with you for professional development and growth. Now we're going to do a little rolling up of the sleeves. So if you can, we're going to focus on goals and systems. So I'll give you all a minute to pull everything up. So on the page where it says goals and systems, pull that up. Make sure you pull a pen out. This is going to be interactive. I'm going to ask some of you to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. But I'm not going to pick you out. I'm going to ask. So some people, this is what my goal for today is for some of you to raise your hand and participate with this so others can get an idea. Because some people might have goals already. Some might not know where to start. But the learning comes within your peers, within this room. So I want to tackle that. I want to make sure we all get something from today. And when we leave, you're going to have something that you can take home, look at, and focus on. So let's say, I want to be respectful of time. So for 5 minutes, I want you to write down on this sheet of paper, goal 1 and goal 2. Think about goals. Think about something you want to accomplish, big or small. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to write down 2 goals. Goal number 1 and goal number 2. And then after that, we're going to go into the systems of working on your systems to get into your goals. So take 5 minutes to write down some goals of yours. 2 goals. Big or small? don't fill out the systems yet, just the goals. So I would like to, 2 goals. If you only have one right now, that's fine, we'll work on it. But for the majority, hopefully you got 2. So what I would like to do right now, I'd like to get 2 people to volunteer to just call out their goal. And then I would like the room to participate with ideas of systems that they can potentially incorporate to help reach their goal. All right? So we have one fearless leader. You give him the microphone. Just share goal number 1, and we'll let somebody else do number 2, and then if we have time, we can go through some more.
Okay, so this is Hamza from ASCFAS. I am the cultural coordinator of activities, cultural activities. So we came up with the idea of the cultural activities brochure, and actually want to improve it and improve the cultural activities calendar. A calendar that could be useful for both the employees and the customers and the students. And something we don't have now, so we're working on it. So this is goal number 1. Should I go ahead and say
No, we're gonna work on that. So your first goal is work related.
Yeah.
Is to improve cultural activities within the organization.
Particularly the brochure and the calendar.
The brochure
And the calendar.
and the calendar.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a
So does everybody understand his goal?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can have a seat, and I'm gonna write it down. Okay, so the calendar and the brochure. Okay, so who has an idea of systems that he can put into play right now to improve the cultural activities on the calendar and on the brochure? Anybody?
Can you explain what you mean by system?
So we went through this on the first plenary, so I'll talk about goals and systems, right? So goals are the big idea, the big goal that you want to accomplish in life. But usually that's where we stop. We have our goals. The system is how are we going to get to the goal? What is the journey? What is the path? How are we going to get to improving the cultural activities on the calendar and the brochure? What can he do and the team do daily, overall, to improve the cultural activities specifically for the calendar and the brochure? So what is one thing that he can do to improve the calendar and brochure?
I guess the word improve immediately, sorry. The word improve, to me, immediately sort of brings up this question of what are the weaknesses?
What are the weaknesses? Let's stop there. 1, identify what the weaknesses are.
And then in more
Great
specifics,
start.
if you look at the actual leaflet, are you talking about the presentation of it, or are you talking about the content? And if you're looking at the calendar, is it about frequency or is it about specific dates? What's not working with it?
Awesome. So some systems. 1, identify the weaknesses. What are the weaknesses? What are the problems? Why do you think it should be fixed? Why do you think it should be improved? Right? So you improve, and once you identify the weaknesses, you can put a plan together to start working towards that. 2, is it the content? Do you need to improve the content, the material that's being distributed? 3, the frequency. How often do you put it out? The dates, the amount of activities you're putting on the calendar. That's great. Zing, you had, or did we say it already?
Well, it was pretty much the same.
Okay. Does anybody else have a system? Okay.
Maybe
Yes.
the system is kind of a plan, technique plan or something like that.
Okay.
How to check in every single point why we do the calendar or something. Who's gonna benefit from that or
Yes.
Maybe you could speak to the students and find out what it is that they need or what they want, like what their interests are. Because I guess they are the consumer, the customer.
So feedback. All right. So once you started to identify the issues of why you want to improve the calendar, now you put the systems in play. Right? Now you've identified what the issues are. Now you can start working on the systems. Frequency and date. All right? How often do you put that out, the brochure out? Now, how often does that come out?
Probably sometimes every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
We update it
You update it every 2 weeks.
because we have a new activity or a new club.
Do you think the 2 weeks is fine? Do you think you need to make it 1 week? Do you need
Well, it depends how many we send out.
okay. Do you think that impacts the response from the students? You know, is 2 weeks enough a lead time for them to plan to attend the activities?
Boy, it's very hard to decide because it's ongoing. It keeps changing.
Okay.
So I need to update it and I just write the date. of
So
when
let's take some steps back now then.
Right.
Before we get there, let's identify the weaknesses. What are the issues that you feel you're having with the pamphlets?
One of it is actually not about the piece of paper itself, but how to get the information here from
How to get the information?
how to get the information to be written here. So who is sending the information? One of them would be coordinators of the clubs. So I need to get a feedback from them or an update that this activity is not going to be in this room and then it's going to be on a different time. So this is something I would know myself. Like,
So how often do you have meetings with the entire team so you're all on the same page?
we have no formal meetings. It's just working via emails for the moment.
So that's one.
That's number one, yes, true.
Setting up time on a consistent cadence for you to communicate the content so it can properly be structured on time. So with students, they love habit, right? So if it's an inconsistent habit, then they're just going to be accustomed to inconsistencies. But if you're consistently putting out the material and identifying what needs to be on there consistently, then that can impact your first issue, right? What else? What's another that you have, that you think you worked on?
I think it's about, graphically speaking,
Graphics?
design and.
Okay.
So
So with the graphics and design, do you have a graphic designer?
well, just use myself.
It's
but-
just you?
Yeah. Just
So you don't like yourself?
No, I'm fine with my work, but I'm sure someone else will do it better.
Okay, so identify, look at this.
Joe.
He drew it.
Nice.
It was just play.
Just playing around. That looks amazing.
So,
So what is your process with coming up with the graphics? Do you just do it and then put it out, or do you get feedback from your colleagues and your peers?
well, the first feedback I get is from the director.
Okay.
And then the second feedback I go to the reception and ask whoever I see from the employees what I think.
So when you speak to your director, did you ever have a conversation to say, hey, I love these graphics, but I'd like to improve them more? Maybe there's somebody within the school that can also assist as a side project to assist with the graphics.
Yeah, I hear that very often.
You hear it very often. Now implement it. Now do it.
This is the first time we do the brochure, so we didn't have one before, so it's building from scratch.
Okay.
So everyone is contributing, but the process is kind of slow.
Okay.
And but we're happy with what we have now. Just
Yeah, you want
but we want something.
you want to grow.
Yeah, I want
Which
to
is
improve
okay.
it. I want to improve it. Yeah.
So he had a goal of improving the calendar and the brochure. Some of the systems that we identified, and this is brief, we can go very deep into this, but this is very brief. First is, with identifying the weaknesses, we talked about, well, there's two things. One, the cadence with the team. Right now, it's random emails. A system in place saying, hey, we're going to meet or talk via email or have a conference call at least once a week. Since it comes out every 2 weeks. But developing the cadence to make sure everybody's on the same plane so nothing falls through the cracks. That's one system they'll have in play. The second system is identifying somebody that can assist with graphic design and putting them on the team to communicate look and feel so he's comfortable with it. And then maybe the Monday, I don't know how long it takes to print, or depending on timing of printing the pamphlet, maybe it's the Friday before or the Monday before, if it only takes 1 day to print, is an approval process. So him and the other graphic designer will look at all the ideas, the concepts, send it to the team for feedback, finalize on Friday, print on Monday. Now this is a system that's in place to make sure he's achieving his goals of providing a more, or what he feels could be a better pamphlet and brochure and calendar. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's going to be my next bold leader? To identify your goal. So we can do the same exercise.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm very pleased to attend all these workshops. You and all the other people, you are very good coaching.
Thank you.
We're inspired from your experiences, all of the people during this conference. I'm working as an admin,
Okay.
but my goal to be, inshallah, an English teacher.
An English teacher.
Yeah. I was born to be an English teacher. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great. All right. So he wants to be an English teacher. What do you think is holding you back from becoming an English teacher?
I left school, or I abandoned school before I reached my doing university.
So further education.
Yeah, further
Okay, that's
education.
one.
Yeah.
What else? Give me one or two more things. What else do you think is holding you back from being an English teacher?
I don't know exactly.
Lack of
What?
information?
Yeah, lack of information, degree, and maybe false plan that I took in my life. And of course, this is Allah's decision. It's not my.
So lack of information, right? Meaning more research to understanding how to become a teacher, or lack of information through education?
Maybe it's lack of degree. For the moment, yeah.
Education.
Inshallah, I'm in the right path.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can we get some other potential things that you think might hold you back from becoming a teacher if you wanted to be a teacher? What'd you say?
I would recommend. I'm no teacher, but I think to become a teacher, first you need to speak to the director and see what's the procedure, what's the requirements, and see if one of these requirements is missing, then you work on it. Yeah, speak to.
So when I said lack of information for me, that's what I was thinking as far as path. Understanding how and what I need to do to become a teacher. One, of course, you said is the degree. But two, there's always a system when it comes to becoming a teacher.
Training.
And there is
Training.
someone, a person who knows.
Yes. There is a person who knows, or multiple people who
Like,
know.
if you want to be a teacher in China, then there's no one in ALS who can tell you how to do that. You can teach our ALS students, someone who recruits, so.
Yeah.
Given resources.
Yeah, resources. Anything else? All right. So system. I think we all know what the first system is that he needs to incorporate into his journey. Studying in his degree. If that is mandatory to become an English teacher, and you want to become an English teacher, then you need to have that, if it's a requirement. So understanding the requirements of becoming a teacher, I would say would be your first step. What does it take to become an English teacher? What do I need? I need to have an English degree. I need to have X amount of hours of substituting or being in a classroom. There are requirements that are needed to become a teacher.
Team teaching. With team teaching as well.
Say that again?
Team teaching with teacher in class.
Yeah. Shadowing a teacher in class, getting the hours.
To do like a training, like a center training to
Training.
To improve your English.
Diplomation.
Yep. So you need to be on your journey of getting a degree. Lack of information and path.
Sorry. I think in Morocco, the first step, he has to have his baccalaureate first. If he doesn't have a baccalaureate, he should apply for that. And then to go to university and study in English department to have his BA. And then go for training, CEPA or Bielingua or any training. Then he will become, inshallah, English teacher. Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome. The requirements she just gave you. She just gave you the requirements, but that takes one of the steps that we talked about earlier. Have a mentor.
I have a question.
Hold on one second. If you want to get into education, find a mentor that's in education, who's an English teacher, who can tell you the path of their journey, what it took to get there. So that's one of your systems. So your first system is working towards that degree, which she mentioned. Two is the path. Every single day, you should be doing something big or small that's getting you closer to becoming a teacher. The days that go by that you're not researching, finding a mentor, making a phone call, are days that are wasted. And in 5 years, you're going to say, man, only if I had did this, or took the time to get my degree. Time goes by fast.
Yep.
I talked about this the other day. Think about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, what you did with yourself and what you wanted to do as goals. Think of some of the goals that you didn't go after. It's 4 years later. You can be there right now. But each time, we have excuses. Those excuses hold us back. Once you tackle your mind and don't allow your mind to put you in a place of not moving forward, life becomes so much easier. We hold ourselves back. Comment.
I don't think you need to study English at the college, because in Iceland, we have an example. We used to have a teacher that he had his master in economics, and he was the greatest teacher that I have seen in my life. and I can see truly he is better than teachers that they already study English in college. It's all about practicing and work. Once I asked him about what is the secret behind that. They told me there is nothing in life called chance. There is only work. You have to work until you get your chance in life.
Right. And that was what I ended with during the opening plenary. Nothing will work unless you do.
Yes, he's just studying English at the LC. And I swear he is the best. He is best from teachers that they teach English in public or the private school.
Yeah.
He teaches advanced lessons. Even those teachers who work in the public school, they can teach advanced class. And he did. And now he is at USA benefit from Fulbright in his master in management.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, do you understand, what your first couple systems you need to put in play? Because these are things that you have control over really right now, So whatever you can do, where, maybe you might not have the time right now for the degree, but make it a goal of yours in a year, 2 years, 3 years. You're on your own timeline. It's not everybody else's timeline. So when you get there and you're comfortable with it, it's okay. Doesn't have to be right now, but as long as you're doing the work to get towards that every day, then you can feel good about yourself. The degree doesn't need to happen right now. There can be things within your life that you just can't do it right now, and that's okay. But say, hey, I'm going to work and chip towards this, and in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, I'm going to get this degree. But this time right now, I'm going on the internet, I'm getting a mentor, I'm understanding the requirements, and I'm going to put them in play so I can eventually get there. So when you do go all the way, you're not doing 100 things at one time. Each day you're etching off so you can make the job and path a little bit easier. All right? So does everybody? Yes.
And another thing that I think is worth mentioning is that while there's a lot of official requirements needed to be an officially employed English teacher, there's a lot of volunteer opportunity that someone can be doing in this moment to be improving their own teaching skills. So getting involved in events of their center, getting involved with clubs, and while you might not be a lead teacher or officially employed as a teacher, you can be assisting as someone at an event running a craft table with the young learners. You can be helping coordinate and working with the children. You can be part of the homework club and helping students improve their homework. So that would be holistically developing you as a teacher rather than just spending 5 years in a classroom learning about teaching and then realizing you've never actually stood in front of a group of teenagers and taught them before. You can be a teacher now. A teacher is not someone with a piece of paper. A teacher is a helper in community.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you. So there's 2 people that you should know already in this group. Thank you. Because of time, we'll move on. We can go through these all day, but I want to make sure we go through one of the last elements, which I really, really, really want you to take serious right now, which is time management. Right? I don't know if I want to use yesterday because you were part of a conference, so most of you are going to different conferences, different sessions. But we'll use it. Think about your day yesterday. Think about the 24 hours that you had, from the hours you slept, the hours you ate, the hours you might have watched TV, been on the phone, been on the internet, been at the mall, sitting at the park, sitting in the lounge, reading a book. Think about everything that you did yesterday in the 24 hours. Write down those hours. How many hours you slept, everything. I want you to go through this exercise because it's very important. We're going to look at opportunities throughout that day that you could have utilized towards your potential goal. So I give you 5 minutes. Be honest with yourself. And there's one little extra added part to it. If you can remember, write down how much time you spent doing it. Okay. So right now, what I want you to do is look at the hours you spent and then look at your goals. Is there any time throughout your day yesterday, through the hours that you wrote down, that you could have spent towards your goals? If so, raise your hand. Okay. Does anybody want to be bold and share a little bit about their day? My fearless leader.
Right. So starting from the day before yesterday, 10:30 to 8 a.m. sleeping.
Yes.
8:15 getting up, waking up, getting up, dressing up. 8:15, 9 breakfast, 9:45 I was making a poster and designing and sharing for an event we have this Saturday in FAS. 10 to 12:30 conference, 12:31 lunch. 1 to 2:30 I went back to my room, just chilling on my laptop, complete waste of time. 1 hour and a half, complete waste of time. 2:30, 4:30 conference, 4:30, 5:30 a break, 5:30, 6:30 conference, 6:30, 9:45. We were, for all this period I was eating fish. And then I went back to my hotel room and I actually stayed about an hour just doing stuff for my email stuff. It could be a waste of time, I could have slept. And then I slept around I had a late shower, which made me wake up. So I slept around 1, then woke up at 8. So that's 7 hours of sleeping, it's not enough. And here I am.
Yeah. Thank you. So think about your day. Think about how many times we tell ourselves we don't have enough time to do this. We don't have enough time to do that. But when you actually sit down and write down your day and the hours you spent, you start to realize that a lot of your time went towards nothing really of substance. But we enjoy that because we're not doing anything, because we feel like we work so hard, we just want to do nothing. But I would highly suggest that during some point of your day, usually when you first wake up, use that time for yourself. Don't get on your phone and look at messages and emails. Don't go on the internet. Take the first 30 minutes, if that's all you can take of yourself, 45 minutes. I would suggest an hour when you first wake up, just to be still. Be still and think about the prior day. Run it through your head. Think about what you experienced yesterday, what you did, what you could have done better, how that day could have assisted you in achieving your goals. And then think about the day that you're about to have. But take that time to write it down. Write down some objectives that you would like to accomplish in that day. And throughout that day, as it happens, cross it out. I need to make a phone call or follow up with some of the teachers that were at the conference. Send them an email. Thank you for your words and the guidance. If you have a little bit of time during the week or next week, I'd love to get on the phone and find out about opportunities that I can pursue within my current role to become a teacher. That's something that's helping you. Something very small, but an action you can cross out that you took during that day that's getting you closer to your goals. And he talked about an hour and a half on the internet. In that hour and a half on the internet, you felt like it was a waste, but during that hour and a half, you could have been potentially looking at other brochures that people make across the world that you can use as examples to say, hey, this creative is awesome. Nothing is new. Nothing is new. So you can look online, look at millions and millions of designs, and see something that you could potentially incorporate into your brochure. Right? Which could save a lot of time. Right? Okay. So, with that, I want to respect time. I know coming to an end. Again, the book, The Mind of a Winner, that I came out with, it's about the mindset. It's about you taking on life and understanding your day-to-day and not allowing your mind to be the reason why you're not accomplishing what you set out to do. So, I want to thank you for your time. Again, you don't get this time back. So thank you for allowing me to be here, speaking with you in the opening plenary and speaking with you now. This is what I'm passionate about. These are my goals, is to be here and help enrich people's lives and give them as much information as I can, because I've learned it through my journey, so I want to share it. So thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.